So it's day 24 of the 30-day digital challenge. And this is where we bring you 10 minutes of live learning every day at 1 p.m. on Facebook. Now, today we're going to be looking at creating a digital strategy. Now, what often happens in business is the first thing that every business focuses on every time that they put a digital campaign together is increasing customer base. But actually, this is something that needs to come probably further down the line. The three most common goals in any business, regardless of industry or niche, is increasing customer base, average order value, and purchase frequency. So where would we ideally want to start? Well, first of all, your customers who spend on average 33% more with you, by developing a campaign to see whether you can get them to buy something additional, buy more frequently. Now, in terms of actually putting the digital marketing plan together, in the world of digital marketing, you've probably seen an array of frameworks. Now, the one that we use is a very common one, which is called SOSTAC. And the first thing in any business you need to understand, and actually the bit that takes the longest, is doing the audit. Now, some of you will be familiar with doing things like a SWOT analysis, where you look at the strengths, anything that you're ideally doing, particularly well. So you're appearing in search, you maybe got a really nicely designed website, you've got a good level of traffic or social media presence. Now, a weakness is something that you're already doing, but you could improve. An opportunity, think of that like your wish list. And a threat is something whereby that's your top priority. So often we've gone onto Google and seen that someone's Google My Business has said that their opening hours is closed. Now, obviously, that instantly needs to be amended because it's going to put people off. Another challenge that we're seeing in business at the moment is that when you go to Google, if your site is not secure, so it hasn't got the little padlock, the HTTPS, is that this is going to cause problems with actually getting visitors to go from Google to your site. Now, in October, November last year, Google said that even if you're not selling online, it's mandatory. Now, what happens if someone finds your business in Google and your website, it could be position 1. If it says it's not secure, that's going to put people off. Now, once you've done your audit and you've got a really clear idea of where you're at, you need to look at the 4 touch points of digital, which is how well you're reaching your audience. So start looking at the channels that you're using, maybe look at Google Analytics and find out where most of your traffic is coming from. The next thing we need to understand is that when people land on your website or your landing pages or wherever you're getting your leads from, is how well you're capturing those leads. Now, without lead generation, and you're just looking at obviously, driving traffic, then that's not going to obviously ultimately go to conversion, which is the 3rd touch point of digital. Now, engage is where we start looking at our lovely customers. Start looking at maybe putting a campaign together first for your customers in terms of they're going to be the easiest people to get back to buy your products and services. They're going to be your biggest advocates. They'll leave reviews and testimonials. And as I said, on average, they spend 33% more, and there's no acquisition cost associated with them. Now, the next thing in our SOSTAC plan, if we've done the situation analysis, which is our audit, is we need to look at objectives. So with an objective, we need to understand where do we want to go. Now, ideally, when you're putting your objectives together, we need to be looking at acquisition and conversion, because you can't just acquire people without actually turning those people into profitable customers. Now, with objectives, we use an acronym called SMART. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And a typical example of a SMART objective would be something like increase your web traffic by, say, 10% in the first quarter for a particular audience or segment, etc., for your business. Now, often people go wrong because they're actually creating a goal for the campaign, which could just be increased web traffic. It means that it becomes very difficult to measure. Now, once you've got your acquisition and your conversion objectives in place, we need to look at, well, how do we get there? So what is the strategy? So the 3rd part of SOSTAC is strategy. And this is looking at, for instance, if you're going to increase web traffic, a strategy might be looking at your search engine optimization or search marketing. Now, the next bit is tactics. You can't actually do the strategy without having really, really detailed, I suppose, tasks and things that you're going to be doing. So the details of strategy include things like, the marketing mix and the communications mix. So what channels are you going to use to reach your audience, and how are they going to integrate? Now, then we need to move on to the details of the tactics. So who does what and when, and what are the processes and systems that tie into that? Now, we really do need a detailed action plan, which is often expressed in something like a Gantt chart. So you're breaking down, say, your 12-month calendar into January, February, March, and so on. Now, finally, the last step of SOSTAC is control. We need the metrics that you need to obviously identify. If you've got a particular objective in place, what is it you're going to measure, and when are you going to measure it? We see so many businesses trying to look at Google Analytics after 30 days, a whole month, and trying to take that sort of mound of data and turn it into actionable insights, which is impossible. With any digital campaign, for instance, with our 30-day challenge, we're looking at these metrics, these key metrics daily, because you can identify trends and then you can take actionable insights from them. Now, the very final bit that you may want to layer on top of your SOSTAC plan is looking at the 3 key resources. So the men and women, the actual human resource associated with it, the minutes, so the actual timescales, how quickly, realistically, can you get these things off of the ground? You can't just start a campaign tomorrow. And the money, so looking at the budgeting. And one of the most common questions that we get asked is, how do you set a marketing budget? Well, the rule of thumb is that normally with any marketing budget, we're looking at 10% of your revenue, between 5 and 10%. If you're going for a big campaign that's really looking to drive lead generation and obviously customer acquisition, then we would say nearer 10%. If you're looking for something more of brand awareness, it would be nearer 5%. So hopefully you have an idea of obviously doing your audit. I would suggest going through all of the different channels that you're using and doing some form of SWOT analysis, looking at the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats, and building your SOSTAC plan on top of that. Now, 50% of businesses don't even have a strategy in place. But we know all the businesses that are doing well in terms of they've got a steady lead funnel and sales funnel have all got a documented digital marketing plan. So it's a good reason to even jot something down onto an A4 piece of paper if you haven't got it already. Now, join us tomorrow to find out a little bit more about what the actual daily tasks of a digital marketer look like. Because in day 25, we're going to be doing a day in the life of a digital marketer, and we're going to be looking at all of these different aspects in terms of what are the priorities. If you've only got, say, 10 minutes a day, what should you be spending those 10 minutes on? So have a lovely weekend, and we'll join you tomorrow at 1 p.m. If you're watching this on Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn, make sure you go to Facebook, type in Business Consort, like the page, and if you join the group, you'll get access to all 30 days videos of digital marketing tips in small bite-sized chunks. Okay, so have a great Saturday, and we will see you tomorrow.